All right, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since I did this podcast. Oh man, so it's been over 90 days. Let me see if I can remember my rap. Okay, welcome to the Black Lions domain. It is where universal grounding is partaken. It was where Zachary Shiloh used to roam around the earth. Oh man. And I sit here on a cam with a dear friend and a former guest. And I couldn't have asked for anyone better because this is one of my highest grossing guests of all time.
Oh wow, man! You must have had probably only like 3 guests then, because it. No, I'm joking. I'm just kidding.
All right, kids out there. He's a father. He's a podcaster. He's a pro wrestling fan, and much, much more. He used to go by Ringside Rant, but we're gonna shall dibby into his current uh, goings on when we get there. All right, so welcome back to Black Lions Domain, RJ. How are you?
Great to be back. It's been quite some time when you got in touch with him. Like, hell yeah, I'll come back. I'd love to do it. And just getting to reconnect with a lot of um the originals, we'd say the OGs. I guess that's what the kids are saying now, OGs, right?
That's true.
But no, between yourself, myself, Graham, Matt, and then Mags and Visionaries. Excuse me. It's it's good to be back. It's good to get you back finally. And if it's one thing that I've learned is consistency is king.
Oh, yes, it is. And I was doing my podcast for, oh my God, since 2019. Back in those days, the Visionaries days, the real quote unquote IWC podcasting world days. Oh man, that really was the catalyst. Like one of the catalysts for me to start speaking. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I just got through dealing with Matt of the Good Cop Bad Cop podcast, and we were talking to this kid from Australia, Joshy boy, who would go on to be part of the Brainbuster radio crew. I remember after that show, those two were saying, "Oh, you should have your own podcast." Then eventually, one MGB Graham chimed in. MGB Graham, who I've been missed. He chimed in. Oh, if my 5-year-old son could do this, why aren't you? I said, Graham. Graham.
He always pulls that one out of his hat whenever he can. He's very shrewd in his comments. He usually keeps a couple in the holsters. Every once in a while, usually it's a baseball joke or a football joke or something like that. But no, good. That whole family, man. That's I still can't believe. I think just getting too old. They're getting too old. Put it that way. Or maybe we're just getting older and they're getting. I don't know. I mean, we're getting older too, I guess.
Uh-huh. Oh my God. I was quoted back in those days as the Bagshaw family is the first real family of podcast wrestling world. Period.
Sure.
Oh my God. Mason was only like, well, I think he was like about 8ish, and Jackson was really about 5. And now they're both like in that almost double-digit world. I know Mason is definitely
he's in high school.
Yeah, Mason is 14. He's 14.
You gotta be freaking kidding me.
Oh my!
And it's like, and then my son, he's 11. He's starting school next week. He's going into middle school. So it's just like I don't know if it's the fact that, as you age, life goes by a lot faster, or we're just slower and everything's fair. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. And one of these times I'm going to do it and I'm going to trademark it. I'm going to make a lot of money, to teach everybody how to stay, slow everything down a little bit. But yeah, it's just unreal how, like, before we hit record, just to realize how far everybody in this group has came. And I'm not saying that for myself, it's everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's fathers, everybody's have kids now, everybody's married now, everybody's this, everybody's got full-time jobs, everybody's going to wrestling shows, everybody's doing this. It's
Whew.
it's good to see.
Yes, it is. I'm still in awe of like what I know about him. I know Matt is now happily married.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "What? That is great." I and if Matt Willis is, or excuse me, Matt Lewis, excuse me, if
Yeah, you'll get yelled at. Trust me. That's no, but very happy for him and Chris, and they're finally. He's got that twinkle back in his eye, or
yeah,
maybe it's just a gleam. I don't know. Is it glistening or glistening or sweat or I don't know. No, I'm joking. Matt's one of those guys where, a lot of the times in the wrestling business, you hear a lot of people say that, you don't have to see each other for a year or two or talk to each other for a year or two or longer. Similar to, this show here is, it's like you never left,
mm-hmm.
and Matt's one of those guys. Graham's one of those guys. You're one of those guys. We could just, shoot a DM to somebody and say, hey, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Hope the family's doing well, whatever. And that's kind of what, the meaning behind starting podcasting was, get that network out there, get those friends that say, hey, my wife's like, oh, well, you got this friend. Oh, you never met him before. I'm like, yeah, but I've worked with him before. I've talked to him on Zooms or whatever. So it's good to, like I said, it's good to see so many people within this community doing so well.
Oh man, I even think about not just our group, like the visionaries. Now I'm really seeing people that were involved, yes, to some degrees, but they actually did their own things too, like the Dragons Den girls. What?
Mm-hmm.
Amy Nemedy and her husband, Andy, they're
Mm-hmm.
still doing the big support of AEW, and their kids are going to shows with them now. Jen is doing well. She's now still living in PA, but she's like coming out whenever AEW's in her town and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they do their podcast anymore, but still, it's good to see them both. I
Yeah.
know Kelsey, the former Super Kicking It with Kelsey, she does these horror book shows now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a few of her stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, Anthony from Smart to Death, from what I understood, he stopped watching wrestling like Kelsey, and I was in that boat for a while. But then something was, and I came back. I watched some
Mm-hmm.
wrestling. I've mainly been in the New Japan bubble, but I heard about WWE. I heard about it because of a dear friend of mine who I considered like a surrogate father. He would watch every single week and he would tell me, "Oh, this is what happened," and he would crucify Seth Rollins for the Monday Night Jesus gimmick or whatever the
Oh
case
yeah,
was.
no, yeah. Well, that's one thing you have to understand that too. Um, you have to really understand it to really understand. I know it's kind of oxymoron, but it's you have to understand the gimmick before you really sit down. Okay, this makes sense now.
Oh, I understood it, and it felt right for Seth because of the architect gimmick that he had. So if
Mm-hmm.
people really watched the architect from the Shield, and then afterwards, where he was part of the Authority and everything else, you could see different glimmers of those characters in the Jesus Christ character gimmick that
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still doing now. Still, I'm like, what? But
Yeah,
he's
he's doing a little bit
evolved
of
it.
it.
He's
Yeah.
evolved
He's
it.
recreate he's recreating himself. He's reinventing himself, and that's what you have to do. A lot of times in wrestling business now, it's like you see all these guys like an Undertaker, Chris Jericho,
Oh
Randy
yeah.
Orton, whomever, Edge. You got to reinvent yourself. The Miz is another one. That constantly has you have to reinvent yourself because you wouldn't last in this business. They last in the business for so long,
Whew.
and it's a testament to them where they keep reinventing themselves time and time again. So they're better than everybody else because they have so many different layers of their character.
Uh-huh. Would you actually include Sting in that conversation? Because Steve Morton, for the last some odd years, for me, at least, he's not in the same ring shape as everybody else. He's more so
Mm-hmm.
been wrestling with t-shirts over his chest, whereas like in the 80s and the 90s, he was more so built.
Mm-hmm. I think you can't put him in the same category. You start to see a lot of it. If you really want to see him reinventing himself, go back to the TNA days, um, where he had Joker Sting there. Never brought back the Surfer Sting for obvious reasons, but I think that was his moneymaker was Crow Sting, Joker Sting, and TNA. You really want to see some good stuff? Go watch some Sting stuff from his TNA run there.
Oh my God. I was a big Sting fan since his days in WCW. When he came to Impact, I kind of said, oh my God, no way. I
Mm-hmm.
was one of the random few that was kind of like, do we really have to have him around? But I think without Sting's presence, Impact wouldn't have been what it is quite so much. And that's not because I'm saying this as a Sting fan, but something was like now gelling for it.
Right. Yeah, there's a different when he was there was a lot of different people there that he could work with, your Kurt Angles, your Samoa Joes, AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, James Storm, Kazarian, Daniels. That roster there in TNA doesn't get the proper recognition, I don't think, for how good they were. Because if you look at any major roster now, whether it be AEW, WWE, Impact, um, you get a handful of people that wrestled in TNA, whether it be this, like I said, Samoa Joe still going. You're seeing AJ Styles in
Mm-hmm.
WWE. So it goes to show you that they're not all that bad. It's contrary to some belief, though. I think that roster was very, very much underrated.
Oh, so do I. I was a huge Impact fan for years. I believe
Mm-hmm.
I told this story, and I could be brief. I got into Impact by way of a high school friend of my childhood best friend, one of my childhood best friends. So I wound up watching clips of it from 2002 to 4. Then when they finally debuted Impact, I was watching practically every single week. I couldn't really buy the pay-per-views because my father wasn't quite so into wrestling. And I did buy
Mm-hmm.
one pay-per-view. That was the one where Styles fought Shane and Kazarian in Ultimate X. After that, I never bought it in an Impact pay-per-view in this house
Yeah.
ever again. So for me, it's a real big deal to see guys like that start showing up. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same point in time, I love watching the ones that were basically almost unknowns coming up, like the Samoa Joes, the AJ Styles, and all of them. Then when they
Mm-hmm.
finally made their way to WWE, my reaction was like Macaulay Culkin in the first Home Alone, like ah!
Because you see him, it brings you back to when you're a kid, and that's the thing that with professional wrestling, I'm seeing in my son now because he's a big wrestling fan at 11, and I'm seeing I guess you could say how I was at 11 years old, where my dad didn't really encourage me or didn't like me to watch professional wrestling. My parents in general, I should say, but I did it anyways. Obviously, I found ways to watch. I found ways to get tapes. I found way to follow it. And now I'm like, I don't dismiss anything that he wants to watch. If he wants to watch professional wrestling, he can watch professional wrestling. I took him to Raw when it was in Buffalo, just down the thruway for me here. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go all out for this kid. I'm gonna do stuff for him that my dad didn't do for me, regardless of reasoning behind it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go out. If I can get floor seats, I'm gonna get floor seats for him.
Ho
Sure as
ho.
hell. I got floor seats for him. I got seats on the ramp side opposite hard cam. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows back.
Oh,
Um, I won't say how much I paid for him, but
please don't.
I they're worth it. It was worth every penny to see him walking in on the actual cement floor of the arena. Keep in mind, this was my first floor seats too. I've never been on the
Oh,
floor seat before. I never, because I'm like, you know what? I have no reason to. You know what I mean? I always wanted to sit up, but I never wanted to. I said, you know what? The heck with it. I can afford it now. I can do it for my son. And to see the look on his face, it was priceless. And I had a bunch of buddies they were watching the show, that Raw. And I said, hey, if you can, fantastic. He did his whole, he had my wife draw up a sign for him to bring to the show, and he put it up. And sure as hell, he was on TV. And I have pictures on my phone that I always look. I look at him every day. And to have pictures, it's actually as my background, to be honest with you, of my phone, so I can look at it. I'm like, all right, this is cool. This is stuff that they're memories. You know what I mean? Because he's going to middle school next week. Sooner than later, he'll be in high school. And he's
hmm.
going to want nothing to do with me. And that's fine. I wanted nothing to do with my dad and when I was in high school either. You know what I mean? I had friends. I had baseball. I was playing. I was playing football. I was going out with friends after school or after games or whatever. And I didn't want anything to do with him. And I think that it's just a circle of life, I guess you could say. And, just to see that, I'm like, okay, so that's probably that's what I was at a young age watching. I won't say how old I am, but it goes back to the uh the golden era of professional wrestling back in the early to mid 90s. Um Growing up watching Hogan on Superstars, pretending that I was Hulk Hogan and my brother was Ultimate Warrior Randy Savage, playing with our pillow. I guess you could call them pillow pets or whatever, the Rumblers or whatever the heck they called them then.
I
And
understand.
it's I think my mom still has it. Actually, we're going out that way tomorrow for the weekend to see her and stuff. And I gotta look in her basement. She just kept everything. I don't know why or whatever. Oh, you never know when you're gonna need it. Yeah, ma, sure. Just to get a dumpster, throw everything in there. You don't need it. Um, but I gotta look. I still have that volume 1 of the cassette of WWF at that time, the music, which had maybe I can remember every person that was on, because I wore that SOB out. Let's see, it was Hogan, Savage, Warrior, Jake the
See,
Snake Roberts, and I believe Dusty Rhodes was on it as well. And dude, I don't think I watch wrestling every day, and not just because for the show for research purposes, but because I want to. I want to go back and go watch Attitude Era. I'm up on. I started early or late '90s. Started like Attitude Era in '98 for WWF, and I've gotten all the way up to where the heck am I? Summer of '99. Watching every single Raw, watching every single Sunday Night Heat, watching every single pay-per-view, doing
Oh
my
man.
research, doing all that good stuff for stuff down the road. And whether it be my co-host, whether it be my wife, whether it be whomever that knows I do the show, they always make fun of me because I literally I can actually show you on online here. Well, obviously people, your listeners won't be able to see it, but
They
I
may
literally
be
have,
watching this on YouTube.
oh, there you go. So literally this is my schedule for every guest, every topic this year.
Woof.
I have everything planned. I had this planned out. I had this scheduled and planned out by end of August last year for this year.
Wow.
I am currently in the works of working on the schedule for 2024. I'm hoping to have that done. Shoot, probably at least, well, definitely by the end of the year, but probably by within the next few weeks.
Oh
On top
man.
of having a full-time job, working 4 10-hour shifts during the week, having a family, having priorities around the house and what have you, the homeowners duties, I guess you could say, to do. But my wife has she goes to the gym multiple times a week.
What?
I podcast once a week. I do my research once a week, or pretty much all week. But no, it's my thing. It's my gym, my whatever you want to call it, my venting method of get rid of all the insanity in the day-to-day life.
Oh wow. Your wife goes to the gym and you podcast. That's still
Yeah, believe it
that
or not.
speaking of podcasts, kids, I mentioned he
Sure.
used to do this show called Ringside Ring. Well,
Yep.
when we finally reconnected, he's done this other show now called Refin It Up, from what I
Yep.
understand. And get this, kids, his co-host, it still boggles my mind some odd weeks to months later. He's
Yeah.
on the same show as Brian Hebner, who's the son of, rest in peace, legendary referee Earl Hebner. Not only that, but he's also the co-host of another legendary referee in his own right, Jimmy Coderas from WWF/WWE. I said, what?
Yeah.
I heard of that podcast, but I had no clue that RJ himself was actually an actual host. When I saw it, my reaction is like, ah! He made me
Yeah.
cry. So
So yeah. You tell me, and not to call you out on that, but actually Earl is still with us. It's his twin brother David that passed away.
oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No.
I'm sorry.
No,
Please forgive
it's just it's interesting because when Uncle Dave passed away, I think we were doing the no, yeah, we were doing the show because Brian, the week his uncle passed, he was having his last match. He was wrestling, he was refereeing Slammiversary 2020. What are we, 23,
yeah.
21? 21, yeah. So that would have been and his uncle passed away that week. So it's like he was gone. But anyways, to bring it up to a lighter note, man, I like I told you before you hit the record button, I have to sometimes, take it, sit back in my chair, sit back and just, listen to my house. There's no kids around, the dogs are sleeping, everybody's gone. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I'm doing shows or I'm doing editing or whatever. And I'm like, holy, I do a show with Brian Hebner and Jimmy Corderas. And I don't mean that to sound, boastful or cocky or whatever, but I'm like, wait, how did I do this? And honestly, it goes to show you that if you have an idea, anybody, whether it be you, whether it be Graham, whether it be Matt, whether it be, View from the Top Rope guys, whether it be Mason and Jackson, whatever. if you have a good idea and you have a good idea, stick with your guns. Go for it. Ask people. Because I guarantee you, and most people don't, I think very few people know how we got started, is I had the idea I've always been a fan of referees. I've always wanted to become a professional wrestler. I knew that wasn't going to happen, obviously. At a very young age, unfortunately. And I always liked the referees. I always respected the referees, respected what they did. And I still do, obviously. And I'm like, they got to have they got to have good stories, being the third guy in the ring, talking to guys behind the scenes. And then obviously back in the day, you're riding the cars from town to town. Before they were flying all over the place, they were driving all over the place. You know what I mean? They're driving 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours to save money so they don't have to fly. But no, I got the idea. I said I DM Brian for whatever reason. I don't know why. At that time, he was following me online on the Twitter gimmick. Nice. And I said, you know what? The hell with it. I'm gonna shoot my shot. DM'd him. I said, hey, bud, good afternoon or good evening, whatever time of day it was. Hope all is well with you. And it's the same way I pitch anything to everybody. I say, hey, hope you're doing this message greets you well. I have an idea for you for a show. I really think you have a lot of stories that a lot of people would want to hear. Mm-hmm. Give me 5 minutes. And if you like it, great. If not, it was nice chatting with you. And that was it. And that was, let's see, we started in late March of 21. And so that was probably about the beginning of the year, a little after the first of the year of 21. And I shot my shot. And a couple weeks later, DM me back. He said, sure, you got 5 minutes. I give you a couple of minutes. What do you got? And at that point, he's like, yeah, I always been thinking about starting a podcast because he listens to a lot of Conrad stuff from, Conrad Thompson's empire there. And he's like, I have all these stories and, I have all these experiences. I really want to, get it out there. And I said, you know what, this is the idea. And I pitched him the idea of we have on Refin It Up. For those of you that don't listen, I don't know why you're not, go over and listen on all your major podcasting platforms every Wednesday morning. I said, hey, we got 3 segments. We can call them whatever you want. Doesn't matter. I pitched him probably about 2 or 3 different ideas for a show name. He liked Refin It Up. It worked. We're off and running. We got a show name. It always starts at the show name, guys. Everybody starts, it starts there. Then you got to come up with a concept. I said, hey, you got 3 segments. First count, second count, third count. We'll have bells. We'll have segments, whatever. We'll get that going. If you don't want 3 count, that's fine. Works for me. I'll come up, this is all generic. I gave him, bare bones, bullet points. And I said, look, your first count can be bing, 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 whether it be current stuff. If you don't want to do current stuff, we can do, legend stuff, nostalgic stuff, whatever. Second count, we'll have the guest come in. We'll talk to the guest. If we have a guest, if we don't, we'll talk about that person, whether it be, Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, Sting, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, whatever. We'll talk about that. We'll talk to that guest if we can get them. And then the third count is we'll go over a match that Brian was involved with this person. Our first episode, if you go back and you're on iTunes, Google, Spotify, we're on, so many different platforms. We're on Odyssey, which is worldwide at this point, which is great. So anytime you hear a lot of these, these Odyssey radio stations, and they talk about podcasting, you can find Refin It Up on there as well. Mm-hmm. But our first episode was on Sting, and the match that he had with Jeff Hardy when Jeff Hardy was under the influence in TNA, and Brian was the referee for that match. So Brian talked about, and like I said, go back and take a listen to it. Our first episode there on Sting, and Brian has an insight, not only does he have, growing up, the son of Earl Hebner and the nephew of David Hebner, but he has the experience of working with a JBL, with The Undertaker, with Kurt Angle, with Brock Lesnar, with Hulk Hogan. He refereed a match between Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 19.
Oh,
If they did not trust him, he wouldn't have been there. If the man, Vince McMahon, regardless on your opinions on him, didn't appreciate him, didn't respect him, he wouldn't be there. But yeah, and like I said, that was 2021. We just finished our latest episode that's out now, episode 74. We had JBL on, as well as Gerald Briscoe. Probably, and I told Brian this the other day, or today, or yesterday. I don't. My memory's shot. If it's not my phone, I don't know anything. I told him that was probably my funnest episode we've ever done, just because my philosophy is when you can sit back and whether you have a guest on, whether it be a big name or it be a buddy or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you can sit back and you can just say, all right, go. And you learn something a little bit and you hear stories that you don't normally hear. That's the stuff I love. And when I get off the line and I'm sitting here, I'm editing stuff and I'm like, holy crap, I just talked to Gerald Briscoe and JBL, or I just talked to Bully Ray or Tommy Dreamer, or Mickey James, or whatever. I'm like, I'm very fortunate that I'm in this spot. And it constantly, my wheels are always turning. And believe it or not, my memory comes back every once in a while. Sometimes I have to hit my head against the wall for it to actually come out. But, going back, like you said, we said at the beginning of the show, going back to the Visionaries Wrestling Network days, myself, yourself, MGB, Graham, the View from the Top Rope guys, Mags. And to see, and this is just me, it has nothing with the rest of you guys, so don't hopefully you don't take it this way, but to see where every one of us were at that time, myself included, and to see where we are now, good, bad, and different, it's amazing to see. And along the lines, obviously, and I'll admit it, yeah, did I mess up? Did I, screw the pooch on numerous occasions? Yeah, I admit it. I messed up, but hopefully over the last however long, the good that I have been doing will outweigh the past. And like I said, that's a lot of the stuff, whether it be, I've gone through a pretty, not to get too sentimental with a lot of this stuff, but I went through a very dark time. I, drinking a lot, mentally, I was screwed up mentally, masking a lot of pain physically, mentally, internally, externally, whatever you want to say it. And, I did make a lot of mistakes, but I'm trying to right the wrongs. I'm trying to be a better person, be a better husband, be a better father, be a better friend. I quit drinking 2 years ago. I haven't had a drop of alcohol in over 2 years. I try to stay on straight and narrow. Unfortunately, when I quit drinking, I found the refrigerator, and I've gained a few pounds. I went to a checkup today for my back, and for I needed a letter for work, and they're like, "Oh yeah, your blood pressure is great, but you're up to 206 pounds." I'm like, "What the hell?" Keep in mind, folks, I've always maintained a healthy weight between about 185 to about 195, give or take a few pounds here and there. Previous to all this going on, I'm like, well, what the heck? I must be doing something wrong because I'm not maintaining that weight. No, but it's just, if it's one thing, anybody listening now, or yourself or whomever, take shots, take chances. If you have an idea and it's a good idea, don't let anybody else try to sway your opinions a different way. You have an idea, go for it. Plain and simple. Whoever you are.
I agree. And the last few months that I haven't done this podcast, I've been reconnecting with wrestling. That's
Mhm.
been something that's been somewhat missing, but I've been asking myself, how how am I fitting this into my business? Like, how am I
Mhm.
really gonna quote unquote make money as a wrestling fan? Uh, Helping people get into shape and look like you and look like me, look like
Mhm.
somewhat to some degree or another. No disrespect to him, Matt Lewis.
Mhm.
Like, how can I do that? And I'm finding myself in the wrestling world still.
Mhm.
Now it's just bringing my fandom into that money situation because I seen you. I'm
Mhm.
still in awe that you are dealing with the fatherhood thing.
Yeah.
You're doing the husband thing. You're doing the homeowner stuff. You made a life for yourself, and you never really left the wrestling industry. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
I I learned lost my grandfather in 2019, and I've always been podcasting on and off since the visionary days, which goes back to probably what 17, 18, somewhere around there.
Yeah, 17.
And I it's always something I've always liked doing, enjoyed doing. I had the media communications 4-year degree from college. So I always wanted to use that in some aspect, whether it be at a job, part-time, side hustle, whatever. And when my grandfather was um always a big component in my life. I always respected him. If you look over, I think if you look over my shoulder, where you go, there you go. There's the prayer cards. Let me get up. Let me move over. So there's his prayer cards right here.
Oh man.
Myself, him, and my grandmother and my other grandmother's up here. Her prayer cards and my other grandfather, prayer cards were there. My grandfather was 3 weeks shy of his 97th birthday when he passed. Um, and he always wanted to see me succeed. He always wanted me to do what I wanted to do, to make myself happy. Um, and he passed the 5th of April of 2019. And after that, I said, you know what? I had to kind of, shake my head around, get the cobwebs out of everything that just happened, because it was a very emotional time, obviously. Uh, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go all out. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody's going to do. From here on out, I'm going to podcast. And that was 2019. And I can honestly say at this point, from over the last, let's see, that's what, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, I have not missed an episode in 4 years. I've always put something out, whatever show I've ever done, whether it be Ringside Rant, whether it be Refin It Up. Um, I found a way to put something out on that scheduled day. Um, because, um, like I said, I'll say Conrad Thompson helped me out with that too. Just listen to his stuff. I talked to him a couple times in person, as well as having him on our shows that I was a part of. Um, and just advice. I said, hey, what's your bit of advice for an aspiring podcaster that wants to, make it somewhere someday, or make it to the point where you can honestly, where you can say you do a show with Brian Hebner and Jimmy Corderas. I've hindsight being what it is now, but he said consistency. Always put something out, whether it's a best of show, whether it be a recap of a show of something else, whether it's just you rambling on, talking about, what you had for dinner that day or whatever. Put something out, because if somebody is tuning in, find your show from however way they find it, whether it be through iTunes or online on social media or whatever. They're going to want to listen to it. And they're just going to, okay, oh, that's interesting. They got, Lance Storm or Chris Jericho or whatever. they go back and they see it. And the first guest I had coming back after my grandfather passed was Conrad Thompson. And going on from there, I've taken a lot from him. I've taken a lot from other, big podcasts out there, and don't copy, but borrow and make it your own. And I always wanted to do a show that was similar to Pardon the Interruption that's on ESPN with Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon. And I never had the opportunity to do that. And that's how I came up with that concept for Refin It Up, is I wanted to have time segments. But the problem was I'm only one person. I got to control a board. I can control a computer. I would have to have a secondary producer to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, who am I? At this point, okay, I'm going to have to pay somebody, you know what I mean, to come in, or, you have to coordinate 4 schedules to record. And like I said, it was possible, but it was just a matter of time to get everybody on the same wavelength. Unfortunately, I can get all 3 of us on the same wavelength because, hey, we're recording Tuesday nights, 6 p.m. Eastern. And I turn it around in 2-3 hours, and I put it out the next morning to try to keep it as current as possible. But it's sometimes you got to have some sort of, difficulty in your life to really show you what's important. And I'm not, and if I were to wake up tomorrow and the show would be done and gone and over and whatever, for whatever reason, I can honestly sit here and tell you right now, I'm happy on the way of what we did over the last, almost 2 years. I'm not saying that we're done. That's not by any means. Like I said, I'm looking forward to 2024 already. I'm going to have the schedule made out by probably by Thanksgiving. Well, probably before Thanksgiving. I probably haven't made out. Knowing me, I probably haven't made out by the end of the week. But I'm go. I have a Google Doc. I have a Google Word. I have multiple notes on my phone where I keep it. I have it on my computer. I have it here. I have it emailed to me. I have it backed up in case my phone goes, my computer goes. I have it on my email. I'm so anal retentive about that stuff that it drives everybody around me crazy, because they literally I messaged Brian, I say, hey, this is what we're looking at for next year. These are the guests I'm looking at. See what we can do. And he's like, you do realize that it's probably going to change. I'm like, yeah, but if you know how I am, if I don't have something planned out, I'll go, I'll go crazy. But yeah, it's, you find a passion, whatever that is. And I guess that's what the main thing out of this was, you find something that you're passionate about, whether it be podcasting, whether it be going to the gym and working out, whether it be playing softball, whether it be playing golf, or honestly, whether it be going to the movies or playing an instrument or singing or whatever. If you have a passionate about something and you're good at it, I'm not saying I'm the best. I mess up every week. I have to edit half the stuff out because I say some stupid crap that I sound like a moron. I forget, I misread something on the prep sheet or something. I'm like, oh crap, I got to say this. Oh wait, no, I didn't say it. I got to edit that out. That's fine. Thank God for editing. But you have a passion about something, whatever it is, cooking, whatever, go for it. Shoot your shot. You never know what's going to happen. You could be next Bobby Flay for all we know. That's dating you guys. Go Google it. If for those of you who know who Bobby Flay is, go Google it. But yeah, there's so much negativity across the board, social media, in the world. And it doesn't have to be that way. If I follow a few motivational things on the Twitter gimmick that will spit out, and if you follow me, little quotes each and every day. And I'll repost it. I'll put it on my Instagram. I'll show my wife. I'll have it sometimes as my phone background on my screen. So all I got to do is hit the side button. Boom. I see it. And actually, I can actually read one of my favorite ones. It was out. I brought it out today, and I think I reposted it. I think maybe not. I don't know. Dude, I have no idea what the heck half this stuff is. I'm getting to that point now. I'm almost seriously. I'm 39, and I think my brain, if I don't put it in my phone, I'll forget about it. I seriously will. So it says this is at Freaky Theory on the Twitter. He says, you have to fight through some bad days to earn the best days of your life. So I'll say that again. You have to fight through some bad days to earn the best days of your life. So I try to take one of those a day. Sometimes it's more than that. I'll go over, and this is probably something that you probably don't even know about me. And a lot of people don't know, because I don't broadcast this a lot. Is I'll go over, and I played 2 instruments in high school, 2 band instruments. I played a trumpet, I played a baritone in high school. And I played a little bit after it, but that's beside the point. That's whatever. I'll go over, I'll look at that. I've learned since I quit drinking, I've learned to self-meditate. And I will actually physically, I'll go on a YouTube or Spotify or whatever, and I'll listen to classical music. I'll listen to Bach. I'll listen to Beethoven. I'll listen to who's the other one? Shoot.
Yeah.
Anyways, you think of it, not the point. Classical music in general. I'll listen to soothing music. There's something on YouTube. You can find anything on YouTube, I think. And just meditating, to self-meditate yourself, because I learned if you're not all here upstairs, if you're not there, you're not going to be here in your heart, and vice versa. If you're not here with your heart, your head's going to be gone. And you have to, like I said previously, right the wrongs that you did in the past, but don't live in the past. Because if you worry about the past and you're too worried about the future, you're not worried about right now. You're not worried about the present. And the biggest thing, to me anyways, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but to me, I want to live in the present. I don't want to live in the past. I don't want to live in the future. I was like, oh, you're worried about, you're seeing wrestlers. You see Bray Wyatt pass at 36. You see, Luke Harper, who's right over here. Brody Lee passed at 40 something. It's tough. And as a fan, it's tough because you grew up, I've met both of them, great people. And like, oh, aren't you afraid of dying? I'm like, well, hell yeah, I'm afraid of dying. But if I'm going to be worried about dying, I'm not going to be worried about today. You know what I mean? I had a boss in my day job. At that point, this was 2 years ago, New Year's Eve day. They were off of work and whatever. I think it was a Saturday, whatever, beside the point. Get a call from my boss at the time. He said, I'm like, oh, what's going on? So I'm going to call from work. I got to go in and do something. What the hell? Whatever. Fine. And so, hey, what's going on? I was like, oh, so-and-so passed away. I said, what are you talking about? I'm like, you're joking, right? He's like, dude, I'm not joking. This is, I wouldn't joke about this. Gentleman that I worked worked with, I should say. I've been at the same job for almost 15 years. I've worked with him all 15 years. But 39 years old. He was a year older than me. Just dropped. Medics come in, can't resuscitate him, can't bring him back. To this day, I don't know what happened. Not my business to know. He had, I believe at that time he had an 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. A guy I didn't see eye to eye with him on a lot of things, but that's something that, that's another time in my life that was a kick in my pants. My grandfather, like I said before, my grandfather passed in 19. This gentleman passed a couple of years ago. And that's when you go home, you look at your wife, you look at your family, you look at your kids, you hug them extra tight, tell them that you love them. Cause tomorrow's not guaranteed. The next 10 minutes isn't guaranteed. You know what I mean? And sometimes you got to have that stuff to happen to you or happen around you. It doesn't even have to happen directly to you. To affect you in a positive way, not in a negative way, because negativity, just get out the door with the negativity. I don't have time for negativity. If you're negative towards anybody, I don't have time for you. But after that day, I told my wife, I said, on my phone, go in my notes. This is the password to my phone. Go in there. I have a note in there. It says worst case scenario. I kid you not. It says who you got to call. Let them know what's going on. If I'm down and out, this is who you call. This is where my account is, because we both. I have a show account. I have a separate account for that. I have a separate account from the past. So that's where everything is. This is who you call first. This is who you call second. I kid you. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Because I want to make sure the people that care about me know that I care about them. To know that when it hits the fan and I can't say anything, I want you to know where we stand. You know what I mean? And I can honestly tell you, I can probably count on 1 or 2 hands on the people I can trust in this world, unfortunately. Outside of family. But yeah, to turn it back to wrestling is with podcasting. It's that hour that I have by myself, whether it be with you, whether it be with somebody else, whether it be with Brian and Jimmy, whomever, that I can kind of forget about the day-to-day BS that I have to deal with at work. That stupid thing I did, a couple years ago, whatever. I'm watching wrestling, whatever the case may be. I'm watching my son watch wrestling, whatever. It makes everything a hell of a lot easier. And it makes life a heck of a lot funner to be have life, be part of life. Not to get not to get too deep with you. I know you probably weren't planning on that, but yeah, it's something I always try to, whatever show I go on. A lot of people say, "Oh, he's the wrestling guy. He does this, he does that with wrestling." It's all well and good, but sometimes you have to, Yogi Bear always said before he passed, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Can you go left? Can you go right? It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's all going to come around the middle anyways. You're all going to end up in the same spot eventually. And it's interesting to like I said before, I keep going back to this, is whatever paths we've all taken since 2017, 2018, what, I can't even remember at this point. I can barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning. I can't remember that long ago. Like I said, everybody knows the list. We've talked about it. And it's just like, holy crap, look at where you've come. All of us. And I'm not saying good, bad, and different, whatever. And it's great to see. You know what I mean? And I'm just so proud and happy of each and every one of you, to see where you guys have come. You know what I mean? And, like I said, not to get too sentimental with all this, because like I said, it's probably not something that a lot of people listening or viewing or whatever will think from me. You know what I mean?
Man. And this kid is a proud example of why he is one of my most gross episodes of 2021.
I'm still shocked to that, and I appreciate that for people listening. Like I said, I don't I I've gotten to the point in life where I'm too old to worry about this BS from the past, the BS of the future. Just, I'm worried about now. I don't care. I don't have time to talk to anybody. Oh, well, this show sucked. Okay, that's your opinion. You know what I mean? You got to have a thick skin. Whatever you do, whether you work at the supermarket, you work at the gas station, you work at the pizzeria, you work at whatever, you do podcasting, you do this, you do that. You got to have a thick skin wherever you go. And I learned the hard way. Sometimes the best thing to say is nothing at all.
True.
Because sometimes the more you say, the more you get in trouble. And I'm I'm a perfect example of that sometimes, most of the time, sometimes in the past. But I try not to, I try to think before I speak now because, I have, uh, I have the roughing it up. You know what I mean? I don't, what I say affects Brian, it affects Jimmy. And I don't want my negativity or my stupidness. Like I just came up with a word, stupidness, whatever.
That's a word.
Affect them. I don't know. I got to look it up in the dictionary, the thesaurus or whatever. And, there's like thesaurus.com or doctor.com or whatever. Google's everybody's friend. So go Google it. But yeah, if you're negative, man, just keep going. I don't need it. I don't have the time to deal with your BS.
I hear you. Hearing you talk about all that, don't talk about this often. My father passed away almost 2 months. I had him on in 2020. He made a brief return, looking for my help with something in 2020. From that point forward, it was kind of like a dance between me and him. And
Mm-hmm.
some days I really couldn't stand his guts, to be honest. Especially for me wanting to help him and him telling me no, regardless. But when he died, I could tell he was finished. He was finished. I had no clue that my father would die on July 14th, 2023. I was at work when it happened. My mother called me crying in tears, looking for me to zoom on home, but I was already almost done anyway. So it's been almost 2 months exactly to that date.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember the last conversation I had with him, and believe it or not, it was 2 days prior. It was 2 days prior. And he was home from the hospital, his final run at the hospital. And he said these words: I'm making peace with it. I don't know how much time I have left.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wasn't BSing at all. I could feel it. I could sense it. And I had to come to grips. So that really made me look at my family history of things, especially his last 3 years of life. I said, oh my God, oh my God, something's really got to change. And if not through
Mm-hmm.
my family members, it's definitely got to end with me. It has definitely got to end with me. They could do whatever got what I think killed my father. My mother can tell me differently, but some things that he did killed him, I believe. But I've been thinking about my father, and I'm happy and grateful that I knew. Not many people can say that they had a father.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that, but take his life from what I knew and transcend past my goal or goals in life now are breaking family ties, breaking generational curses. Like this thing of eating certain foods that we shouldn't be eating it. I saw my father continue to do that after having surgery. And I
Mhm.
tried to tell him, like, Dad, you can't do this anymore. And he brushed me aside and okay. But then it caught up to him and it hurt me. It scarred it scarred me to the point where me and him, we didn't really talk quite so much. We did not talk quite so much. Even me living
Mhm.
here, I said, I want nothing to do with you. I want nothing to do with you. And I'm sure to some degrees or another, my mother can try and tell me otherwise. But to some degrees or another, I know I wasn't the greatest son. I know that I disappointed him in different ways, especially from the standpoint of politics. Hello, I wanted nothing to do with politics, especially from being a person of color and knowing the quote unquote history or foundation of this country that we're in. Oh my God. I told my father, no, I'm not in the same realm as you. I'm not in the same realm as you. Especially from the standpoint where you like to bring up the fact that we're black. Especially from that point, I'm not a part of this. But I respected it because he was that passionate. Like you said, be passionate about certain things in life. And it made me say out loud, I love him as my father. He was a passionate man. He was a passionate man about that. He was a passionate man about faith. He loved music. He really loved music. I'm surprised my father never got into the music industry and made songs or uh, recorded stuff with big time names. That's how big I thought he could be. But he was happy being a teacher. He was happy being somewhat of a DJ, but he did his own stuff.
Yeah, right.
Oh man. And it made me look at not only just him, it made me look at myself. I
Mhm.
didn't know this, but you spoke of being a father, your family ties.
Mhm.
Last year, when I wasn't really on Twitter quite so much, I'm more so on Facebook. And a friend of mine from Australia, she published me in a book or two now. She pulled me aside and we were talking about my first fiance joining her for unknowingly what would be a final book, a series we would. Uh, she said to me, Zach, you may be unaware of this, but because your first fiance was able to conceive, you are a father regardless of what happened. And I'm a father of two miscarried kids. So I looked at my relationship with my father, and it made me happy and grateful from a standpoint of him trying to look out for me. But at the same point in time, I was like, where energy goes, it does expand. And it hurt me that my father and my mother didn't want my kids. It really did hurt. I never wanted to bring a blight on my family. I wanted that notion of we don't know how much time we have. We don't know how much time. I was a kid. I was a dopey 20-year-old with a 17-year-old girlfriend. I was thinking of my. I didn't know how much time. I just wanted to have kids while I knew that I was still young. And when my parents passed away, know that they had some grandkids. But now my father's gone. I don't think my sister or my special needs older brother will conceive, depending on whose preference. Me, I'm kind of like been on my own for 4 years almost, and I don't know if I will ever get back to that time in my life. I'm happy and grateful to know that I'm fine, because that bothered me for a long time. I thought I was a failure. I thought I didn't have any kids. I thought to be a father, you had to be so for the living. I really thought that. But then I listened to you. I listened to so many guys like Conrad Cushman, and it makes me proud that
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the same camp as you all. It makes me more humble that I am a father, that I'm taking my own life or have been in the last 4, trying to be like your wife in a sense, become a gym. I've been doing that now almost 2 or 3 months, and it
Mm-hmm.
feels like I've changed because I, as you said, took it serious. I really put in the time. I really put in the effort. Especially tomorrow, I'm going back to Wall Street. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
back to Wall Street to work out again. And I'm not giving this up because I rest in peace. Oh my God. My father and I, we tried to go into the gym together on and off since I was 11, and it didn't work out every single time. I don't know what happened. He could try to tell me that it was financial, but I think other things were going on. Then my older brother, my mother's advice was to try to take him with me when I actually had my own account one day. And because of his Parkinson's or whatever they want to call it, I wound up being embarrassed and I never went back. I never went back to my local gym. I closed my account after because I didn't think people would take me seriously. So after I lost my second fiance in 2019, I gained my courage to go back to it because life's so short, quote unquote. And it's a chance for me, as you said, to right some wrongs. And I see my father in a different light, like imagining what life would have been like if we never stopped. But I do it more so from this reality that Zachary Shiloh's father was gone. But what if? And I think he would be happy if he actually stayed doing what we planned to do. And I can see it on you. You look like you're crying, and I'm crying myself.
Mm-hmm.
I really am crying. And this is why I gotta get the Conrads. This is why I gotta get the Max and everybody else on Visionaries who is a father and talk to them again.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I feel closer to all of you. I do feel closer. And not saying that I never felt close to all of you before I knew I was a father.
Mm-hmm.
But now, with my father being gone, it feels more right to me that I start doing a Visionaries or Brainbuster or whatever reunion tour. If I could get as many of you back on it, that would be a lot for me. And like I said, eventually I would love to talk to your Refin It Up pals too. Like
Mm-hmm.
expand my reach.
Yeah.
But
Who knows? Never say never, bud.
I'm not saying that. And hopefully we can wrap this bad boy up in 17 minutes because I'm not staying up until nobody's 10 or 11 doing this shit.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not.
you're good, buddy.
All right. So, man, the last time we recorded this podcast together, you and me, it was around the time that the Pipe Bomb Show was, the D Void podcast, uh, and pro wrestling shoots. They were all just infants in
Mm-hmm.
the podcasting world. It just hit me today. Like, what? All that time has flown by. And the Conrad Cushmans, the Judge Kirby's, uh, and all the foundation of what I'm calling Black Lions domain, this interview site. That's been almost 4 years.
Yeah.
That's been almost 4 years. If I made it to 2024 without talking to any of them on this podcast or any style of way, that's been 4 years. That makes my jaw go like, what? Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see. Like I said before, it's amazing to see how far, the different directions everybody has gone. Good, bad. Like I said, good, bad, and different.
Oh,
But at the end of the day, it's you got to know. You got to remember where you came from. You know what I
oh
mean?
man. And I'll never forget. And this is why I'm reaching out. Because
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like 5 years since I interviewed someone. I
Right.
remember
Exactly.
I remember the last person I really interviewed. I believe it was well, last two women I've talked to on this show. One, it was like definitely over 2 years, I gotta believe. And the other one almost like 2.5, something like that. Either which way, I
Mm-hmm.
lost my junk. I said, oh my God, it's been that long. I gotta start reaching out to people.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. No doubt.
I seriously do. Because the last time before they showed up, I believe let me see, who did I have on from our group? Oh, the pipe bomb show. I had
Mm-hmm.
them on in a recurring theme where I bring them on like every top of the year and then maybe summer. But then I dropped off the planet as far as Twitter is concerned, doing my books and everything else. Uh, and Jiggy and Troy, if you are ever listening to this, I will bring you back on here. I'm not gonna forget you. Yeah, sure. I'll make up for my sins, as what I used to say. I was your podcasting father, or one of them. I I will make up for my sins. I promise. Because I did pay Jiggy for the tarot reading, and I know MGB Graham, if he's listening to this, he's losing his junk still that I actually got these kids on, and they did tarot readings for me, and I will never forget that because from that point forward, I got tarot readings from almost any and everybody else outside of our group. I said,
Mm-hmm.
so Jiggy and Troy, if you're listening to this, thank you very much for at least being the foundation for something that's non-pro wrestling centric. Oh man. Excuse me. It feels good to be back on my podcast.
There you go, dude. Told you. Told you. Get
Man.
back into it, man.
Oh.
However short or long it is, make it worth every second.
Oh, it is. And I tried to put this up. And other people who are outside of our group, they were also telling me, "Oh, you should just do your podcast. You seem passionate about it, and we'll make time to chat or whatever the case may be." And
Mm-hmm.
now it feels like, especially with my father being gone, that I gotta start getting myself back out here vocally. May it even be me. what I used to say in the outro, me venting about a production presented as a sport. Then then so be it. So be it. I've been watching wrestling now for about a few weeks or months, and I'm really getting myself back into the groove of it. And some stuff is really good. It really is. Like AEW, I stopped watching that thing like as a dedicated viewer. 2019 because I felt like they were starting to make sins of WWE happen. But then I started to see the good that in the last 4 years. Like what? They really helped resurface Ring of Honor.
Mhm.
Like Tony Khan bought that company from Kerry Silken on whomever ran ROH for those years. And for like the last year, oh man, not even Impact did this. Did you know that uh Impact did not feature Ring of Honor stars defending titles?
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they never featured their talent defending titles, but Ring of Honor had Impact defend their titles. That still boggles my mind all these years later. But now we're getting not just AEW championships defended on AEW TV. Like this coming Sunday, please correct me if I'm wrong. All Out is this Sunday.
Sunday. Yep.
And we got Ring of Honor championships being defended. Matter of fact, yesterday was Dynamite, and I believe Eddie Kingston defended the New Japan Strong Championship right on air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So to
Yep.
say that I'm not invested in AEW to some degree or another now going forward, that's a lot of BS. Because
Yeah.
I was talking to Jen from the Dragons Den, and she and I were talking about Eddie, how much we love the guy. And Eddie Kingston, if you ever listening to this, old friend, I would love to interview you, no matter what the case may be. 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. I would be humble and grateful for it. All right, so we were talking about Eddie's run with the New Japan Championship that he has. We said that he should at least defend it a few times before New Japan decides, okay, let's take the title. I think I said to Jen, he should defend it on AEW since he's there. And lo and behold, I think not even a
There it
week
is.
later, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And he defeated Wheeler Yuta of the Blackpool Club, if I understood
Mm-hmm.
this.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Oh man. And now we're advancing Eddie's war with the BCC even more. And that's making me more invested. Then to get you on here, to get whomever follows AEW to talk about, and then talk about your lives outside of this. Man, damn, I really love my show now. I
There
really
you go,
love it.
bud. Told you.
I really
I
love it.
told you I get you. I told you I get you.
Oh man. So let's start wrapping this bad boy up because I know I'm gonna have to get out of here in the morning and start making
Yeah.
it happen even more. All right, so let me see. How did I used to end this? All right.
Your guess is probably as good as mine because I don't remember nothing, man. I'll be
I
honest.
know my shit kind of be like, yeah, it sometimes change.
Start something new. Start something new. What the hell? Why not?
Oh yeah, there we go. Out of the past into the future. Let's live in the now. All right, so RJ, my dear old friend, your manifestation of the future that's not in the wrestling world. What would you like?
What would I like out of the future?
Yeah, what would you like
Um,
that's not pro wrestling centric?
not pro wrestling centric. Okay. Um, I'll give you two things. I I just actually this My youngest brother, I got two brothers. I got one. I'm the oldest of three boys. I'll say it the heck with it. I'm 39. My middle brother's 36. And my youngest brother just turned 30 this year.
Oh wow.
My youngest brother lives in California. So he came out a couple weeks ago and introduced us to his new girlfriend.
Okay.
So for the future, I would like to have a new sister-in-law.
Aw.
To make my brother happy. My brother, it goes to show you there's 9 years difference between me and my youngest brother. I kid you not, and this will probably be in the speech or whatever, or the talks I give to him. I don't care. Dude, I diapered you. Remember that. But no, it's that's something. And then secondly and lastly, and more, it's a little bit more importantly, I want to see, let's see, my son's going into 6th grade next week. I want to see him graduate from high school. And then I want to see him make a career for himself. I don't care what it is. And I told my wife this, and I told him this. I said, you can do whatever you want. Your mother and I will be here to support you either way. I don't care. Whether you want to go to school, we'll take care of you. We don't care. We've done it we've done it your whole life, bud. We're not going to stop now. Or whether you learn a trade, whether you go do something else. Hey, school's not for everybody. Go get a 2-year degree, get something. So when you go somewhere for a job, whatever, you can say you got a 2-year degree, whatever. But I just want to see him grow up. I want to see him grow old. I want to see him have kids. I want to be a grandfather, as hard as it is to say right now at 39 years old.
Hey.
But at the same time, like I said before, it's nice to look in the future, but at the same time, what's in the past is in the past, and what's in the future is in the future. Concentrate on today. Don't even concentrate on tomorrow. Concentrate in the next 5 minutes, the next 10 minutes. Try to make the next 5 minutes better than the last 5 minutes. Be a better person. Be a better whatever. Be a better friend. Be a better husband. Be a better father. Be a better worker. Be a better podcaster. Whatever. Insert here. Be a better Zachary Shiloh. Be a better RJ than you were 5 minutes ago. Because, like I said, numerous instances why you got back into podcasting, why I got into podcasting and then kept going. You have those incidences over your time that something clicks, something rattles up top in your brain saying, hey, I have to do this. I don't know why I have to do it, but I have to do it. And then 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, down the road, it clicks. That's why I did it. And then you say, it's all that BS that I went through for the last 3, however long it's taken. It's worth it.
It is.
Plain and simple. It's worth it in the end, man.
Okay. I hear you. Okay, what else? I already asked, basically, from what you're saying, no need for me to ask, what can I, Zachary Shiloh, was, depending on the preference, do I do for you going forward? I don't have to ask you that. All right, so, all right. I know my some degrees. All right, so I believe I said this when Mags came on first. And I'm shooting Dej Kirby to get your ass back home. I believe I said something along the lines of this. Triple H Hunter Hearst Helmsley was known for this phrase in 1990. There's one goal, one aim, one road, one focus, one track, and that's to become the WWF champion. But in my frame, I say this: one goal, one aim, one road, one focus, one track, and that's Lovins. Even if it sounds like I'm venting, I'm passionate. I'm passionate. I'm passionate about these fools I live with. I'm passionate about my books. I'm passionate about the sport of pro wrestling. I'm passionate about just life, period. Just life, period. Oh man, and it feels good to just be a podcaster again, even if it's just for 90 minutes. Even if it was for 90 minutes, it was well worth it. But I'm not giving up this thing without a fight. And I will be back because I know I got shit to say, and I know I got people to bring on. And I got RJ's information to share with you in the show's notes, and he'll be back. I'm not gonna let this hat go. I'm not gonna let anybody else go. I've gone years, years, and that's about enough. And why? Because Zachary Shiloh said so. And we will be back with Black Lions Airspace whenever I'm up and ready to roar. See ya.